What's going on, everyone? This is Brady Harrington, and you are listening to the Pump Podcast. Pump stands for Prepare Ultimate Mental Performance. This episode is brought to you by Hoop Culture. Hoop Culture is your off-the-court, unique, and authentic basketball streetwear. You can use our 10% off code, HCFAM-pump. I repeat, HCFAM-pump to receive 10% off your next order. If you have any questions after the episode or you want to reach out for new ideas, please reach out to Harrington, HARRINGTON, pump@gmail.com, or you can reach out to our Instagram page, PUMP_pod. I really appreciate you giving this a listen. Hope you enjoy. Thank you. All right, everyone, welcome back. We're on episode 18. Thanks for the love and support so far. It's been a fun journey. We're still in season 1. Only 2 more episodes of season 1, then we'll be moving on. Proper intro, episode 18. I got number 18 right here. Boston College safety and also Navy coach now, Mike Palmer. Mike, how you doing, man?
Doing great, man. Appreciate you having me on. I'm excited. Looking forward to chatting.
This is great, man. I'm just getting to know you a little bit and also just thinking about who's a good one to have on next. And I think especially you in your off season and your journey so far as a player and coach now, I think it's going to be a lot of good insight. So I'm looking forward to diving into a couple things and learn more about the journey and how to give everyone whoever's in your position or who came across your position, they can learn a lot from this. So, but yeah, currently it sounds like you're in a great situation already. I'm going to circle back real quick to all the way Maine Animal days, which is almost 10 years ago now.
Crazy.
I thought about that the other day, and it's only going to go quicker. But ever since you started out there, you guys had a very decorated career there. Your team was very successful. Coming right out of high school, just thinking about the recruitment process and everything, what was your original priorities before you made your actual decision to go to Boston College? What were you looking for in a school?
Yeah, that's a great question. The first thing, just in talks with the recruiting process, you don't realize how stressful it is until you're in the middle of it. You kind of look at it and you see all the guys that are going here, going there and everything, and you think it's gonna be fun, and there's a whole lot of this, whole lot of that, and people pampering you and this and that. But it's not like that at all. You're trying to figure out what the best fit for you is going to be. And when you're 16, 17 years old, you have no idea what the best fit for you is. You think you do. You think you have all the answers and everything. And then you get there on day one, wherever you're going, and you realize, like, hold on, I'm on my own.
This is what it's like.
Yeah, I don't have my parents with me anymore. I don't have the friends that I grew up with anymore. Like, you're kind of out there on your own trying to figure out, what you're supposed to do, where you're supposed to be, when you're supposed to be there. Trying to learn the culture that is established because you obviously hadn't been there before. So you're just trying to fit in, and you're trying to make a name for yourself as quickly as possible in a good way, because you can do it in a bad way just as quickly, if not even faster.
That spreads around even quicker than the good stuff.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
But in terms of what I was looking for, obviously, education is something that's important, because at some point in your life, you're going to have to put the sports equipment down, and you're going to have to, get a job and go do some, real work and stuff. So you have to make sure that you're prioritizing education in the recruiting process to be able to set yourself up, for the next 40 years, not just for the next 4. Fortunately, I'm in a situation now where I get to be a coach, so I'm kind of don't have to put the sports equipment down, but I got fortunate on that side of things. But there's that. The other big thing is I wanted to go to a place where I fit in with the players, that were on the team. And I wanted to make sure that I was going to be in a situation where the guys that I was going to be around were good people that I enjoyed, spending time with. Obviously, in the recruiting process, you don't get to spend a ton of time with them. And the time that you do get to spend with them is all kind of manufactured, and it's made to be good. So you just have to try to see past all the recruiting and try to, get to know the people for who they are outside of that, and kind of get yourself into situations where you're talking to them outside of manufactured situations when, coaches or whatever
Yeah, and when you started narrowing things down, your original I feel like with recruits, it starts with, okay, this is what I'm looking for in a school. This is what I want to do. When you went through the recruitment process, did anything change in your mind where you just thought, oh, I visited this school and let me reach out to this school and see if they do the same thing because I don't want that in a school?
I would I think the big thing that changed for me actually was with Boston College. So I went up there the summer of my junior year,
Yeah.
um, and I'm not gonna lie, I didn't like it.
Okay.
I
Okay.
was not a fan of it. I was like, I can't see myself going here. Like I don't want to be here.
Wow.
But there's nobody on campus, and in a school in the summer when there's nobody on campus is entirely different
You don't get
than a
that feel.
school in the middle of the fall.
Yep.
It's middle of football season or winter when it's basketball season and all the students are there. And when I went back in the winter for my official visit, the whole dynamic of the university was entirely different when the whole student body was on campus. And when everybody was there, I was like, oh my God, I actually do like this is a fun place to be. There's a lot of cool things here. I'm 20 minutes outside of Boston. At that point in time, I wasn't a big city person because, where we're from, there's
Oh, yeah.
not much going on.
Not a whole lot of lights, man. Not a whole lot of lights. Yep.
Got one street light, it blinks, and you
Yeah.
call it. But it was cool to be in a different environment than what I originally thought Boston College was. And so when I was there, I was like, at that time too. I mean, we'll just be real here. My other two offers for football were Wagner and Army, and one thing that was high on my checklist was I wanted to play at the highest level possible that a coach thought I was capable of playing at. And so when they offered me on like the Sunday of my OV, and I committed on Wednesday, like 3 days later.
Okay. So it was like a no-brainer once you saw
Yeah, it was
that.
a no brainer.
You know, a lot.
It was a no brainer. When you look at the academics, the college atmosphere, the sports atmosphere, the conference, like the Atlantic Coast Conference, and that's when the ACC has taken a hit the last few years of level of play. But that's when it was Deshaun Watson, it was Dalvin Cook, it was Lamar Jackson, it was Trevor Lawrence, and I'm missing a ton of guys. But that's when like the ACC was in the national championship conversation year in
Yeah, it
and
was
year.
abnormal if they didn't make it.
So I mean, to me, it was like no question. Like I got to do this. What are we talking
Yeah.
about? And I think the thing that came with that was the conversation that I had with Coach Dazio that Sunday morning in the hotel when we did like our morning meetings, and I'll never forget that he looked at me and all he said was he was like, I don't know what it is about you, but you have it. I just don't want any bullshit. And I think that right there was like my parents were like, or my dad especially, he was like, yeah, you're coming here. Like you're gonna play for that guy.
Yeah.
So it was there's a lot of aspects that go into it. You have your parents, and obviously a lot of kids parents will get involved in recruiting, and the thing that I try to tell recruits now that I'm on the other side of it, having experienced kind of what I've experienced, is there's people that you're going to lean on and there's people that you're going to ask for help, but you have to make sure that you're making the decision for yourself and you're not making that decision for them, because they're not the ones that are going to be living in your shoes for the next 4 or 5
Absolutely.
years. Like it's going to be you every day, and you have to make sure that you go to a place that you want to be and a place that you feel like you can be
Yeah.
successful.
So once things start getting serious, I'm gonna assume it was around your sophomore and junior year, or maybe even junior year. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it could have been even earlier.
Yeah. Well, crazy. So the crazy thing with that is it popped off in the spring of my junior year. Well, winter of my junior year was when things kind of really started to take off. It was actually Northwestern that had called Coach Gallagher when we were sitting in the stands for a high school basketball game, and that's kind of when the recruiting started to pick up a little
That's when it
bit.
started getting going. So I guess once word started getting out, it was a little bit more public knowledge. Hey, Mike Palmer's he's gonna be playing somewhere D1. We don't know where yet, but did you once that became public knowledge? Did you hear a lot more voices like in your direction of this is what you should do with your life? Like that kind of sparked a question for me. Like, how did you go about handling that? Because I feel like athletes at your caliber, once they start getting those serious looks, all of a sudden you're hearing from people you don't hear from too much often. And if you do, they don't have a whole lot of care or say in your life.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you take in the appropriate knowledge, and how did you almost deflect and treat, I guess, the right way of people that were just don't know what they're
Yeah.
talking about and telling you what to do.
No, it's a good question. I think if I wouldn't really necessarily say I heard from a lot of people kind of out of the woodworks.
Yeah.
Not I'd always kept a pretty tight circle amongst the people that I talked to, more so than others. And everybody's entitled to an opinion. Everyone's allowed to have a say or whatever. But you're allowed to act on those situations
Yeah.
and what happens in your life. And I think the thing I heard the most from people, and I still hear it to this day a bunch, and some of it's definitely warranted. So I definitely don't shut it down. I definitely entertain it. But a lot of opinions were that I should have ran track in college and not.
I was gonna ask you that. What looks did you get in track? And was it for triple jump or just like?
So it would have been for the decathlon.
Oh wow, okay.
So
Okay.
I'd heard from Cornell, I'd heard from Buffalo, Northeastern, a bunch of, when I was at Wagner, the Wagner track coach stopped in and said hello.
Did they say, could you do dual?
There's a lot of schools that allow it. I never asked.
Okay.
But there's definitely schools that allow it. I heard from like Rhode Island. I heard from a bunch of Northeast schools track. I definitely had more interest in like from colleges for track than I did for football.
Oh, you love football.
100%. It was never a decision in my, like there was never a second thought in my mind of what I was going to do. I knew I was going to go play football. I didn't know where.
So you're getting track and you're getting football both years, man. You're getting both. Okay. Wow. Yeah. No, I almost forgot about that. I remember I was gonna mention that to you. So and before I kind of jump out of going from high school into college, give me your thoughts, and because I never personally got to obviously like play for him or get to know him too personally. I actually do want to have him on the pod as well. Give me just some advice and tips that Coach Gallagher gave you.
Yeah, Coach Gallagher, he is a fantastic high school football coach.
Yeah.
I think his record speaks for itself. The success that he was able to kind of create and just continue to have. It doesn't matter who comes through the school, or if it's a good year athletic wise, if it's a bad year, it doesn't matter. Main end of football is always going to be in conversation for the state playoffs, if not a state championship, because of the job that Coach Gallagher and his staff does year in and year out. The best advice I think that I gathered from him was just always staying humble. You never know what's going to be behind door number one. So, there's always going to be somebody out there that's bigger, stronger, faster, and you have to figure out a way to compete against that and to always be at your best. If you're not at your best, it's not good enough. And it's day in and day out.
That is fine.
And if you're, one saying that we had on the back of our shirt was pressure is a privilege, right? Because there's a lot of high school football games where there's not pressure on the game. Right? It's just another high school football game. Well, every single high school football game that I played in, there was a win streak on the line.
Yeah, I feel like since your 8th grade year, there was some type of pressure on the line. Yeah, absolutely.
And you have to want that. You have to want the pressure.
Yeah,
you have to
take it in.
100%. Because if you try to run away from it or you try to shy away from it, then it's going to eat you up. And so you just have to immerse yourself in it. But you can't just do it during football season. It's got to be something that you do year round. So it's like we're playing basketball. Well, basketball practice ends. We're gonna go lift because we got football season in 8 months.
Yeah, I'm ready to go.
Or track season's going on. Well, you got to try to find a workout, get a workout in at least 2 or 3 times a week because football season's coming around. And then once summer hits, we're able to pick back up on the football conditioning and running routes and doing this and just kind of getting back into football shape. But for Coach Gallagher to come in and implement the triple option system, and I think it was, I want to say it was his second year as the coach in Maine-Endwell. It might have been a few more. I'm not entirely sure. It might have been his third. I'm not sure. What was
his first year? How old were you?
I don't remember.
Okay, so he's been there for.
It was either elementary school or middle school.
Okay, so he's been. So you're
he's been for a while.
Okay, so you said he had it right when he got into his second year. That was when.
I think so. It was early because it wasn't always triple option, but then he made the switch like early in his career. I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong. I was like 11, so I'm trying to remember back to when I was that age, and I didn't really go to a lot of the high school football games when I was younger. I would go to a few, I remember specifically going to the Dryden game, and there's a big fight that broke out in the middle of that game. So I was like sixth grade, but that's when I really started going to the games. Was like sixth, seventh grade. But anyways, he implemented the triple option, and that has given us such an advantage, just from in the sense that you get multiple people that are able to touch the ball. Like if you run a single back power offense, right? There's going to be one guy that's your main guy,
No, going to.
and then everybody else is kind of a one off here or there.
Okay.
You're on the spread. There's a lot of things that have to go right in order for the spread to work. But you get the triple option. I mean, there's four guys that can literally touch the ball on any play, and they're all right next. Like they're all in the backfield together. So the ability.
You guys have the dudes to do it too. It's not like there's like a right fielder out there in football terms.
Yeah.
Those options are great. Those
Yeah.
options are really good.
And there's a lot of guys that could have been the guy that ended up being that played out of position because they were better at that position. But like, if they go play for a different school, they might be they might run for 1,000 yards. So I think there was a lot of selflessness that went in to those years that we had a lot of success from a player standpoint. And the coaches did a fantastic job of always having us ready, always having us prepared. I mean, we were watching film and stuff and studying our playbooks and everything. I just think I can't speak high enough about the job that Coach Gallagher and his staff has done.
Yeah, no, he just seems, and it's funny too. When I was in Albany a couple of years ago, to sit on my couch, it's another Saturday, and the Pro Bowl clicks on. I'm like, I guess I'll watch some of this. So then I see this dude on the screen, and they're like, and now Andre. I'm like, what? Like, this guy's out. I think it was in Vegas that year.
Yeah, it was. He was with Snoop Dogg.
Yeah, I'm like, hold on a second. I think I'm on the verge of like taking a nap. And now you're Coach Gallagher from Maine Emerald High School, and I like sit up. I'm like, holy shit, this guy. I mean, just for what he's done, like, I mean, he deserves everything that comes his way from here on out. I think another thing too, I was curious to know is, and this is not just Maine Enwell and Coach Gallagher and everything, but I think it's a big piece just because of your guys' success rate. What does consistency mean to you? Because I think some people I ask about, they've never truly experienced a good chunk of time of consistency. I feel like you guys had that for a long time, and then you just work ethic wise, going into Boston College as a player, now as a coach. Where do you really pick it up from, and what does it mean to you?
Yeah, I think when you hear consistency, the first thing you kind of think of is doing the same thing every day, over and over and over and over. It's like, yeah, that's consistency. But to me, what consistency is, and what I kind of took it on as, is getting better every day. So I'm trying to be 1% better today than I was yesterday, and 1% better tomorrow than I was today. Because if you get 1%, right, it doesn't seem like a lot, but if you go over the course of a whole year and you got 1% better every single day, that's 365%, right? So in a whole year, it's a hell of a lot better than kind of what you see.
You batted a 333 batting average.
Yeah, right. And I think the big thing with that is the hardest part about having success at the even at the high school level, college level, and so on, is you get so obsessed with wanting to get better that when it doesn't happen like that at a snap of a finger, you start to get discouraged. So you have to sit there and realize, like, you have to understand, like, okay, like, I want to get better at this. I'm not going to get better at it overnight. It's going to be something where I have to consistently go out every single day and work to improve on my craft, whether that's in the film room, whether that's in the weight room, whether it's on the field, whether it's in the classroom, right? Because how you do anything is how you do everything. Something that we talk about a lot here at Navy. You have to get better in every facet of your life. If you want to get better at football, you can't just go out on the football field and practice and expect to get better. You want to get better there, you have to get better at eating, you have to get better at sleeping, you have to get better at hydrating, you have to get better at studying for school so that you're not stressed out about school when you're out at practice.
Got to be a complete individual.
100%. And we have another thing that I like is, there's a coach, coach that I worked with really closely here, who I played for at Boston College, Ricky Brown. He played in the NFL. He played at Boston College, played in the NFL for 7 years, like 5 or 6 of them with the Raiders. He's like, you can choose two. You choose two things, right? That you can focus on. You can focus on school. You can focus on social life. You can focus on football. Like, you can focus on video games. You can focus on, like, girls if you want to focus on girls when you're in college. So you can choose two. And those are the two things that you're going to be able to really hone in on and focus on. If you try to handle more than that, like, it's not going to work out for you. So it's like, If you're serious about it, you're gonna go school and you're gonna go football, and whatever falls in, falls in. Like, I really like that. And I didn't understand it at first when he was first talking about it, but now going through it, being on the other side of things, totally makes sense.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, and especially like truly mastering it.
Hmm.
It's one thing. You can maybe have a couple toes in the water with that, but if you're not fully invested, and then all of a sudden either the girls, the social life, video games come creeping in,
And
it'll
all of a
definitely
sudden, you're like, "Oh my god, I'm late for practice!" Like,
it's gonna flood the yeah, it's gonna flood the pool a little bit. Okay. When I'm assuming at this point you know a good day from a bad day in regards to your work and your craft.
mhm.
What did you do to bounce back from a bad day when you realize in your head, I didn't get 1% better today? I might have even dropped 1%. How did you bounce back and what do you do the next day or even that day in general? Was there any specific things that you did to handle that?
Yeah, the first thing, and it took me a while to be able to understand it and actually implement it, was you have to acknowledge it. Like, you can't be delusional. Like, you have to have
Very
confidence,
true.
100%.
Very true.
You have to have confidence, and there's times when you have to be delusional with your confidence,
Yep.
right? You're going up against some dude that's bigger, faster, stronger. You have to tell yourself, like, hey, I'm going to beat this dude's ass. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do it. So
Yeah.
that's a little bit of the delusional confidence you have to have. But if you don't acknowledge that you had a bad day, you're never going to get better, because you'll never be able to understand that you didn't get better that day.
And there's room to grow too.
100%,
Yeah.
100%. And it's like, so the main thing you have to do is acknowledge that, you know what, I had a bad day today. Well, all right, that's great. But guess what? That day's over. So now I get to wake up with a fresh, like, the sun's going to come up tomorrow. The world doesn't stop just because I had a bad day. Like, the world's not going to stop for me. The freaking train's at the station. It's leaving, whether I'm on it or not. And the faster you can understand that as a college athlete, high school athlete, that the bus doesn't start and stop with you, and then it's going to go whether you're there or not, the faster that you can improve in what you're doing. Because now, like, okay, I had a bad day. You know what? Great. What can I learn from it? How can I improve from the bad day that I had? What did I not do well at? And then it gives you something that you can focus on the next day. Like, okay, big thing that we talk about is not making the same mistake, right? So I make this mistake today. That's fine. Mistakes happen. No one's ever played a perfect game. No one will
Yeah,
ever
man,
play.
it's gonna drive a coach nuts if you keep doing the same thing.
There's,
That's the definition of insanity right there.
right, right. So you get that done. Boom. Okay. I played this coverage bad today. Well, why did I play it bad? Now you got to start to dive into it. Was it my technique? Did I not know what I was doing? Was I in the wrong coverage? Like, where did it go wrong? And then you can learn from it. And then once you learn from it, it's like, okay, now I can bounce back from that tomorrow, because I'll have a red ass for it, and I'll be ready to go. And then, you know what? I'll make a new mistake tomorrow. It's okay to make new mistakes.
Yeah, yeah,
We
because
we love that.
okay. So that's good for a culture. I feel like it's
Hmm.
almost saying making it's almost like making a new mistake every day because
Yeah.
that the growth when you learn from that, if you actually take that mistake in, and I always tell guys, say if I train with a basketball player, for example, it's very welcoming to if I'm trying to have them dribble as fast as possible, and they dribble it off their foot. They're like, oh my God, I suck, I messed this up. No, that's great. Because I didn't want to see you do that drill perfectly the whole time because you're not going as fast as you can.
100%.
That's the thing with mistakes is you want to almost have a with your culture of the program, you want to have a balance of let's accept the mistakes, let's not do the same ones, but let's accept them, like welcome them and grow from them. But at the same time, you don't want to be like, oh, I can make a mistake every day, like at a poor level, though.
You're right.
Yeah, like
Right.
the balance of that's tough, but it is. I think the mistake culture is when's a good one. There's guys once you get to the most important times of the year, that's when you're battle tested.
Mhm.
That's when they're like you almost like seeing a team go through that early. No, it's great, dude. So I got to hear this one. What was your welcome to the ACC moment?
Yeah, there's a few of them. I think I
Anything
think
that stands out, you're like, whoa, okay,
the first one. So the first one we were playing Clemson. It was like our red bandana game, which is like the most. It's one of the.
yeah,
If you don't know about the red bandana, like anybody listening, if you don't know about the red bandana game at Boston College, go look that up, because it's pretty freaking cool.
okay, okay,
And so we're playing Clemson on a red bandana game, and it's Deshaun Watson, it's Wayne Gallman, it's Mike Williams, it's Artavis Scott, it's those guys, and I'm sure there's a few like Deion Kane. There's a couple guys I'm
walking nightmares,
forgetting about,
walking nightmares.
and so we're getting we're getting throttled. And Deshaun Watson, they're right around the 50-yard line, and Deshaun Watson throws a go ball to Mike Williams on the outside. And I'm watching it. I'm like, oh, there's no way this dude's catching that ball. Like, he overthrew him by like 5 yards. And Mike Williams lays out, like dives like 7 yards and catches this thing fully extended. Like, so much so they did a sports science on his
On that play?
yes. Like, they did sports science on the amount of yards he covered in the air when he dove to catch the ball. And I was like, yeah, this is an upstate New York. Like, this is a total.
No, that's not even anywhere in general. That's inhumane, probably, for what he did. He made the most ridiculous catches. Even in the NFL, he continued to freaking do that. Wow.
Yep. And then
What happened to sports science?
I don't know. I loved it. It was one
Oh
of my
my
favorite.
God. I remember the Kevin Love one with the sumo wrestler.
Yep.
They had him box out a sumo wrestler, and Kevin Love like put all his weight into him, and like they did the measurement of force. I'm like, dude, these are sweet. Like, I want to.
I like the one they did with, I think it was either Steph or Clay. It might have been both of them. They had him shoot in the gym with the lights off just to see like the muscle memory of being a shooter. So they'd throw him the ball. As they're catching the ball, they'd shut the lights off for them to shoot it.
Oh my God,
And they
I never
made
saw that one.
60% of them or something like
I
that.
was about to say they probably would smoke me by. Say they took 100 shots like we both did, they'd probably still beat me by 20. That's the most ridiculous part about it, is that muscle memory is insane.
Yeah, no, it is. I remember another one too, just because I'm a Celtics fan. They had Jason Tatum when he was going through the draft process. They put him in like 50 pounds of like armor,
Okay.
like from like medieval knights, and we're having him like dunk basketballs and stuff to show like how explosive and how
Force
strong.
like going up.
Yeah, so
Did
there's
he?
some cool
How'd
stuff.
that look? Did he
Oh yeah, he's
easily just?
yeah.
Yeah, because that force going up, there's not a whole lot that can stop that.
It's cool stuff. It's
Yeah.
cool stuff. You bring it back.
Okay, I need to look. I'm gonna look into the archives now, see how I can access watching those again.
I'm sure they're on YouTube. They got to be on YouTube.
They should have like episodes on almost on Netflix or something.
That would be.
Yeah.
That's the thought process right there.
Yeah. I'm gonna tag them in this podcast if there's like a website. But no, that's really cool, especially seeing Mike Williams on the field doing that. I can only imagine like what. Yeah, that opens eyes. It makes you work harder too. Makes you work harder seeing like I gotta really fight for this, because we're now all given that God-given talent, that especially at the dive 7 yards to go catch a ball.
Yep. And I was 165 pounds when I got to campus. So it was like, I'm like, oh boy.
Yeah, and he dove, and he was probably 230, or not that big, okay, but like he's big, and
215. Yeah, he's like 6'4".
being that nimble, my God, killing. So with that too, your journey, it wasn't freshman year. It's all sunshines and rainbows, like playing time wise, everything like that. I remember getting to even watch a couple of your games, like early and later on in your career. What are some things that you need to do? I've asked a lot of players this, that say started their freshman year at a certain level or position, and how they finished. And I'll ask you this actually later on with your process after college, but did you have to do specific things to stand out? Was it like, what was the most important thing for your progress to get where you ended up getting to as a starting safety? Like, did you make a couple plays where it's like, we got to get Mike Palmer some playing time, or it's more along the lines, hey, this guy comes in, day out, and he makes very little, or he doesn't make the same mistakes, and also he just puts the grind. So like, well, I don't know, how do you find a way? Really, how do you find a way, and what was your strategy to slip through the cracks and make your way as a day in, day out starter?
Yeah, no, good question. Looking back, right, my freshman year, so I was a non-travel guy.
Okay.
I was on scout team, helping out the offense with their looks and everything. And you'd get a few minutes of Indy a day to really work on your skills, and it's easy to kind of chalk up the year and be like, well, try again in next year. Like, here we
So
just gonna
easy
do
to do,
this.
I bet. So easy.
And I think the thing that helped me the most was my position coach. He's actually the defense coordinator for the Jacksonville Jaguars now.
Nice.
Anthony Campanelli. Him and I had a really good relationship where he saw more in me than I knew I had.
It's good to have right there.
He knew what buttons to push to bring more out of me, and what buttons to push and what buttons not to push to like kind of force me to
Okay. Those buttons a little bit. What are a couple buttons that you pushed and didn't push?
But I'm competitive. Well, I think the first thing is I'm very competitive, and I want to learn. I like learning new things.
Okay.
And so he would try to like push certain buttons, like he would say things here and there that would kind of just like
Light a fire under your ass.
make me like freaking make my blood boil a little bit and like,
Okay.
kind of like piss me off, because football's a game where if you don't play pissed off, someone's going to beat your ass. And I didn't do a good enough job of always being pissed off when I was on a football field. Like I didn't know how to flip the switch from being, I like to think I'm a pretty nice person,
Yeah, yeah.
but I didn't know how to flip that switch from off the field to on the field.
Mm,
So there, we'd go out onto the field and I'd be smiling, and then boom.
you're
So
like, yo, Palmer,
and I'm like, all right, and I was able to kind of get good with that, from like a mindset standpoint. The big thing was not like succumbing to the circumstances of the situation. So it's like, all right, I know I'm on scout team. I know I'm not traveling. Like, I know I got to do these things in practice, but like, I'm going to do them the best I freaking can, because it's an opportunity for me to be out there on the field playing football. Like,
yeah,
I know I'm not playing on Saturday. So you know what? Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday,
it's your game.
that's my game day.
Yeah, yeah.
And then Friday mornings in the weight room when it's the non-travel lifts, like that's my fourth game day. So it's like I don't get one game day. I get 4 game days a week. And then Sunday nights we would practice and do stuff too. And it's like that was like, when we'd actually scrimmage and stuff, and we'd get to do what we do. So that was like truly game. Like Sunday night was like, it was like Sunday night football. Like here we go. Like we're we're on NBC right now.
Yeah. No, that's a good way to look at it, man, because it's easy to fold and be like, I'm just gonna kick back and watch these guys get at it because I'm not gonna do anything this year.
Mm-hmm. And the big thing too, special teams in high school, like let's just call a spade, right? Not a point of emphasis. Now, some places they are, but it's offense, defense, and then whatever time we have for special teams is whatever we get done with special teams. Like there's not really any schemes. There's not really, you just kind of, you put an athlete back there, you tell them, hey, catch the ball, get what you can.
Yeah, just do what you got to do. Just go take care of that. Yeah.
But in college, it's a third phase of the game. Like the easiest way for a young guy to get on the field is through special teams.
That's what you do.
When we would do scout special team stuff, well, I was going out there and I was trying to be an absolute menace to society. And some of the older guys, they don't appreciate that, right? Because they're trying to kind of like get through the period and everything.
Yeah, they just want to get by and get the game done.
And here's this freaking asshole freshman trying to like go make a name for himself. You should have done that in freaking summer in training camp. And so I think that was a thing for me where I took advantage of opportunities early. I got myself a concussion running down on kickoff because we were doing some live stuff, and I ran right into the wedge and it didn't end too well for me.
Yeah,
so,
no, if you're
it was well deserved. It was well deserved.
Okay.
Couldn't be mad at anybody. And then you get into spring ball, and getting into spring ball, there's a lot of like spring ball is where jobs are won and lost. So you get an opportunity to go make a name for yourself in spring ball.
Okay.
So my first spring ball, things went well. I was playing well, had a better understanding of things. Got into camp for going into my second season, so my redshirt freshman season.
Yeah.
I was going to be like, I was on kickoff, right? I'm like, cool, like running down on kickoff. Well, the coaches didn't feel like if they felt like I was playing tentative, right? Just yanked me right off it. So now I'm a 2 again. Now I'm watching again.
Hey.
And so now I'm like, damn, like I didn't think I was playing.
I thought I could stay here now.
Right. And understanding that everything you do is being watched. So like what you're doing in the weight room, what you're doing on the field, what you're doing in the classroom, everything is being watched. And so that was like just kind of gut wrenching to have gotten myself into a situation where I felt like I was going to play, like opening kickoff, like here we go, like I might be on the first play of the year, to like, nah, you're just going to sit on the sideline again. You might get some garbage time minutes this year, but like that's it. Like, because I redshirted my freshman year, and that was before the whole 4 game thing. Like, if you played the snap, your redshirt was burnt. So I knew I wasn't going to play at all in 2016. Like, made my way onto the travel team for the last game. I got to go to the team hotel with everybody, listen to the senior speeches and everything, which was freaking awesome. It was a great experience. Yeah. And then, that second year is just like one of those things where I think, all right, now I'm not on scout team, right? But I'm not practicing as much because I'm a 2 now, or a 3. So I'm not getting the same amount of reps, but like at least I'm down with the defense now. I'm kind of getting to know it every day, and you get an opportunity here or there. And then I'd practiced well enough to where they had elevated me to a 2 from a 3 to a 2 on the depth chart. So now I'm a little bit closer to the game, but I'm still not in the game. But at least I'm like, I get, there's a chance.
Scratching serves now.
And so we're playing Clemson again, and it's our fourth or fifth game of the year. We're down in Death Valley. It's late in the fourth quarter. It's like 21-7, and our starting safety cramps. I was like, Mike, let's go, get out there. I'm like, whoa, I haven't played football in 2 years. What do you mean? What do you mean? Let's go. So I'm like, hey, and I think
in Clemson. Oh my God.
It was the best thing for me because I didn't have time to think about anything.
True.
I just had to go out there and react.
Go where you do know the best.
First play, freaking Travis Etienne splits right up the middle, and first play of my college career, I'd make a tackle on Travis Etienne.
Wow. I did not know that.
3 plays later, come up, he hits me with a spin move and scored a 34-yard touchdown.
Hey, he's like, so it's like, welcome.
You had the highs, and then you had the lowest of the lows.
Yeah, he adjusted real quick. He's like, oh, he ain't going to do that to me.
And it's like, damn. Like, all right, here we go. And then so, the rest of the year goes on and everything, and like play a few snaps here, play a few snaps there, get a snap there. Like, so I got to taste what college football was. Now, I didn't get the full taste, right? I just got a little spoon, like when you're done making cookies. And
that's enough, though. That's definitely.
It was enough to like going into the offseason. You're like, all right, like I got to taste this. I know I can do it. That was the biggest thing, was the self-confidence of like understanding. Okay, now I know that I have the ability to go out there and compete on this field. Like, I need to get myself physically more fit to be able to go do that. Like, I got to get stronger. I got to get faster. Whatever I got to do, I got to go do that. And then spring ball comes, and that second spring, for football at least, is when it really starts to click.
Yeah, was that the breakthrough right there?
No doubt. And we had a kid go down with a hamstring. So our safety moved to corner. I moved into safety. So I'm going with the ones every day in practice now. And like, it's starting to make sense. The game's slowing down. I'm able to play faster. I'm making plays. Like, I'm able to go out there and tell people coverages, what they're, what we're in. Like, I had the confidence to go out there and call, like, not call the defense, but tell, like, make my checks, like, say the assignments and everything that a safety is supposed to do. I was able to go out there and do, and I was starting to excel at it. About our 9th spring practice, come up, make a tackle, break my hand, knock myself out, spring ball's over. So it's like, I just got to where I wanted to be, and now it's gone. Like, now it's boom, just like that. Just as hard as it's taking me to get there. It's taking me 2.5 years to get there, or 2 years to get there. Like that, it's gone. Now I'm back at a 2, back at a 3.
Yeah, it's almost impossible for any athletic career to not be a roller coaster.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'd be shocked to anyone that said, yeah, I was up here and I either kept going like this or, stayed at a certain level. There's always something. There's always something. I mean, a career looks like the stock market right now, basically. Like, it's unreal. Wow. Okay. So, and before you hop into the process after that, I want to get I was kind of stuck on this question, actually.
Yeah.
You mentioned turning off the happy-go-lucky Mike and go compete. Did you ever have an issue being pissed off on the field, and then it transferred over to your life off the field? Like, were you ever, hey, I need to find a way to, I'm not in football mode right now, I got to settle in, because you obviously can't be that pissed off, high intensity your whole day, or else, it's going to obviously grind at you. Like, how would you, because there's a couple of things I thought of is, did you either have like a post-game or practice cool down? Did you have even like a pre-practice? Like, what were a couple of things that helped you turn like that switch off on the other end of things as well?
Yeah. I think the big thing was understanding that whatever happened between 7 a.m. and 1 p.m., because that's when our football time slot was.
Okay.
Like, stays between 7 a.m. and 1 p.m. And like, you have to leave it there, and you can't let it affect you the rest of the day, because if you let it affect you the rest of the day, well, tomorrow when you go from 7 a.m. to 1 p.m., you're gonna be terrible.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna be so caught up on the day before. So the big thing for me was just trying to like get off the field, kind of sit in the lockers with with my boys, and chop it up. And we joke with each other, like the seat monsters would get us at times where, it's ended at 11. All of a sudden it's 12:45, and like, you got class in 15 minutes. You still haven't been to lunch yet, because you just been sitting in the chairs chopping it up for the last hour and a half.
Yeah, that's the best though. When time flies, that kind of stuff, like lie to locker room or anything on the team. But keep going.
and like understanding that that stuff has to stay there because that's where it is. It's like it's the same thing with work, like with work now, right? Where it's like people talk about, well, don't bring work home, don't bring work home. And so, well, yeah, okay, that's great. How do I do that?
How do I learn how to do that? That's not a taught. No one teaches that in school. You have to actually experience and feel it. Another
Hmm.
reason why athletics are great, in my opinion, because you learn that
Yeah,
as time goes on.
and I wasn't always good at that at first. Like,
It's tough, especially football. I think football and hockey are the toughest, or like even like, wrestling. Like, but they have to be the toughest because they're so physical.
yeah, I think where I got better at it was when I started to decline in school and I wasn't doing well
Oh,
school wise,
okay.
and I realized that if I let what happened to me at practice affect me when I'm in class, I have no idea what's going on in class because I'm too busy
Thinking about
thinking about what was going on this morning.
okay.
So now I'm messing up in football. Now I'm messing up in class. Well, what value do I bring? I don't bring any value right now.
Mm,
I'm a bad egg,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and bad eggs don't last in college sports.
No.
Like, because there's always trying to bring people in to replace the bad eggs.
Hey, the price of eggs right now too, man.
But it had to happen quick, and
Yeah,
that's when it really started to like click for me. It was like, all right, I can't let football affect school. I can't let school affect football. Like I can't affect my outside life affect either. So I was
yeah,
just trying to get better at compartmentalizing and understand that all right, there's the football part of the day, there's the school part of the day, and then there's the part of the day where I don't think about either.
yeah. He's got to be a normal human too.
Hmm.
Yeah, you can't just have two sides of the day and that's it, or else that's
Hmm.
also gonna. I think that's where burnout comes into play as well.
Hmm.
If you don't separate, like, if you have 3 quarters of your day, basically, I think that's a great way to be a student athlete. Is the student, the athlete part, and then also
Whatever the hell you want after that.
go be Mike Palmer and obviously like do stuff that takes your mind completely off of it.
Yeah.
I believe I even mentioned it last episode. It was so cool on a couple of these documentaries I've been watching lately with pro athletes. So little of their lives, like when they get home to their families, it is like I don't want you even talking about football right now. I don't even want to see it like on the football screen because I have plenty of time to do it. Like I need to be a good husband, good father, good brother, good everything like that. It's really cool to see when someone masters that and has at a high level of who I need to be at this point and not letting it
Yeah.
trickle into that other life. So
Yeah, there's a lot of people that say you can either be a good coach or you can be a good parent, but you can't be both. It's like that's bullshit. You can be good at both of them, but you have to make the decision to be good at both of them, and that's like you have to be conscious about what you do. You have to be you have to spend your time correctly. You can't waste time. Like as college coaches, sure you know it. We love to waste time better than probably anybody in the world.
oh yeah,
So
oh yeah,
just being efficient in what you're doing and understanding that like you're a college coach, but you're also a parent or a father. Now
yeah.
we're not there yet, but you get to, and that's the good part about being a young coach is you get to learn from the older guys who are doing it and
Yeah,
who are
how do
doing
you do
it
this?
correctly.
'Cause I've wondered that too. Like my head coach currently, he's not that either. Like we're both pretty young, but
Yeah.
I'm looking at other head coaches. I'm like, hey, just curious, how the hell are you? Because you gotta be so time efficient.
Hmm.
Like there's time management, but there's being efficient with your time, and you got to have it pretty. I'm assuming you got to have it pretty mapped out. So
And that's the importance of having good people around you, like
yeah,
hiring people, like because good people are going to do good work, and that's going to allow for you guys to have more time outside of the office to be able to do what you guys need to do in your personal lives.
yeah, no, that's great stuff. That's great stuff. Tracking down like the back half. So
Hmm.
everything's starting to wrap up. You're starting to get solidified now.
Yeah.
Going great. What difference did you see in yourself as a, let's just say, practice? You went from that first 2 years, that fiery sophomore or freshman and also a sophomore to just I gotta make every rep count. Is there a
Hmm.
difference now once you're established at that level when
Can't be.
okay. Okay.
As soon as you start to think you're established, someone's going to pass you up. So it's like you have to be you as your career goes, you have to grow with your career. So every rep means that much more as you get older, right? And you're going to get more reps. So with the more reps means you're going to be a little more stressed out because there's more stuff that's going on with it
Yeah.
and everything. And now, sure, you might have a little more slack. You might have a little bit more room here or there if you do, mess something up. You might get the benefit of the doubt. But the reality is, once you go from being the young guy in the room to being the old guy in the room, now you're the guy that sets the standard.
Yeah, you have a whole nother responsibility. It's not
Yep.
about you anymore. It's like, okay, now I need to pass this on to
Mm-hmm.
who do I see a young Mike Palmer freshman year. Like who did I want to be that they're trying to be me now.
Right. And it's like you have to understand, and you have to understand that and know. Now at that point, there was still two safeties ahead of me. They're both NFL guys, right? So
Yeah.
I was still learning, but at the same time, like now I know that if something goes, like if one of those guys goes down, right? I'm in my third year now. One of those guys goes down, I know I'm the next guy up, but I have to make sure that I still deserve to be the next guy up. And the way I deserve to be the next guy up is by coming to practice every day and just playing my freaking balls off.
Yeah.
And, attacking the weight room and doing better in school and everything. And, I was playing on special teams. So I was on 3 of the 4 special teams, and we're finishing up training camp. So I'm a 2 on the depth chart, which is right where I should have been at that point. I'm playing on all the special teams, everything. We go to our last day of training camp. We do an inter squad scrimmage. Everything's going well. Towards the end of the scrimmage, we're going to the sideline. On the sideline, you're supposed to kind of, take it easy, not hit, so that nobody gets hurt. One of our guys comes flying in, tries to like wrap the guy up. His body flails across. I got hit in my ribs, punctured a lung, broke my ribs. I'm back. I'm in the hospital. I'm staying overnight at the hospital. We're 9 days out from our opening game, and I'm out for 2 weeks.
Oh my God.
Jesus, like I can't catch a freaking break. So I go. I'm a 2 on the depth chart again, right? I'm not back at it. I'm on 3 special teams. I'm a 2 on the depth chart. I got packages where I'm going to go in the game. I come back 2 weeks later. All that's gone. I got to start over. Bring it back. So I end up getting back on special teams first. So the third game of the year, I run down on kickoff. That's the only kind of burn I'm getting in the game. But because of the body of work from the past 2 years, even though I hadn't played I hadn't played any meaningful snaps in a college football game yet, but the stuff that I was doing in practice had earned the respect of the coaching staff, and that I had earned their trust that when a guy went down in the game on kickoff return, well, now, okay, Mike, go in there and take that role. Okay, so now I'm on kickoff. Now I'm on kickoff return. Okay, there's 2 things. So I'm going to master those.
Start working back up.
Then you start working back up. And then the next week, okay, now I'm back on punt return. Like, okay, so I'm on punt return. I'm on kickoff. All right, now I'm on 3. I'm back on those 3.
Yeah.
All right. Like, here we go. Whew, it's starting to come together now.
Yeah.
And it messes with your confidence in your, when all that stuff happens and you get to a place where you've been trying to get to for 2 years, 2.5 years, you get there and then something out of your control freaking takes that away from you. And it's like, what the hell do I have to do? Like, how can I, and you start having conversations with yourself. And that's when my position coach came back in, because he could see I was frustrated. I mean, I think just about anybody would have been frustrated with that stuff.
Yeah, it's got to be at that point, especially the timing. The timing is awful.
It was terrible.
I feel like both here, like it was 2 separate timings that were equally like just atrocious. Like one was the most important time to grow. Next time was it's time to go now. I'm getting to the big time, and now it just all falls down. So.
And that goes back to what we were talking about earlier, where it's like the train's leaving the station, whether I'm on it or not. And that was like, you see it, but that was when I really first learned it.
Yeah, that's the brutal part about like pro and high level sports, like high level D1, is that there's going to be a next dude that's ready to go.
Right. Like they might take 30 seconds to be like, ah, damn, wish you'd been out there. But guess what? 31 seconds later, they're like, all right, next dude up. Like, let's go.
They got to keep their job.
We got to do.
Wow.
And that was when I first like really got to like see that and understand it. And I was like, oh, okay, like the best ability is availability. And I got to spend whatever on my body to make sure that I'm available. Because if I'm not, then I'm no good. I'm useless.
Someone's got to tell the 76ers that one.
Yeah, trust the process.
Yeah. There's not a whole lot of trust now. So I think another huge part to just the overall being of sports psychology is battling through injuries and how you just as a whole can continue to stay along the path and stay on the course. With those 2 of the timings, like I just said, those had to have been gut wrenching. I mean, no matter who you are, it is so hard to deal with something like that. Kind of like that devil on the shoulder. What were a couple of things that went through your mind with your career even that you had to overcome? And were there any important people throughout that through those time periods that helped you get through as well?
I think so. The first thing I just want to say is I have zero regrets on how like my career went and everything. Like
Yeah, yeah,
I put myself in great opportunities. Now there are things that I wish I had done better,
yeah.
but like I wish I had understood the importance of availability versus ability, and at an earlier age, been more due diligent in stretching and
Take
the
care of the
little
body.
lifts and just anything to give you any type of advantage. The nutrition aspect of things, like eating stuff like that. I wish I'd been better about that stuff when I was earlier in my career.
Yeah. Okay.
But in terms of like people who were important to me and helped me out a lot, the first guy is Coach Camp. Like I had mentioned earlier, right? He saw more in me than I probably saw in myself. I thought I was going to get moved to offense at some point in my career. I didn't think I was going to stay on defense the whole time. But he was a huge advocate to make sure that I did stay on defense, and he would help me, and he would take a lot of time out of his day, especially in the off season, to kind of help develop me. So he had a huge hand in my development and my growth. The other thing were my roommates. Right? I switched roommates about a year and a half in. So my sophomore winter, going into that sophomore spring, where things had started to click for me. I changed roommates, and those roommates, I still talk to them pretty much every freaking day. Like
Yeah,
those
yeah.
were guys.
Nice.
They helped me out a lot because they were having more success. The one dude was starting on. He was a starting receiver for us as a sophomore. The other guy was like his first year. He was like the AAC Rookie of the Year on defense. I got into a situation where the roommates I was with were like-minded, and they were thriving to do well, and they wanted to have success.
Being in that company has to be, that's going to change you.
Mm-hmm.
Very important.
100%. It's gonna change little things, like just in terms of what you're doing on a daily basis. Like we're all going together, like we're all doing things together, so we're spending time around each other, and we lived together for the last 2.5 years of our careers there. And so I would say that those guys had a huge hand in my growth in development. But Coach Kant, he gave me, and then the DB room, like we were so close as a unit, and you didn't want to let anybody down within the room because of the culture that we had built. So you weren't playing, like you understood that you weren't going to play for yourself. You're playing for the dudes that are in that room with you. And that's the most important thing, I think, in college sports. Unfortunately, we're losing it right now because of NIL and the transfer portal. You're not getting to build those bonds. And that's why I'm grateful that I was able to play in the era that I was able to play in with people that I came in with and graduated with, because you just build a different bond.
Yeah. Their long-term plan is Boston College.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're not thinking about other school. Like your mind's not somewhere else. Your mind is where it is, and you are where your feet are. And so you're going to get that, those brotherhoods. And so I think that was huge. But going back to Coach Camp, he pulled me aside one day and he's like, I can tell you're getting frustrated. Things aren't going the way you want. Blah 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 blah. He's like, control what you can control. It's like, what the hell does that mean? It's like, when something happens, ask yourself, was it good or was it bad? Well, if it's good, all right, cool, roll with it. Well, if it's bad, can I change the outcome of what it was? Yes or no?
Yeah.
If no, don't worry about it. If yes,
Yep.
how? Well, I can do this. Okay. Or, well, I'd have to do this, but if I did that, then okay, then you can't control that. So don't worry about it. So, and it was just something that simple as control you can control that completely changed my entire mindset on how I approach things, because it's, I'm going into a thing and something gets messed up, right? Well, can I control it? No. All right, cool. You know what happens? Like, move on, right? Can I? Oh, I can. All right. Well, you know what? Let me do what I can do to get better at that. And then the other thing that I took away too from a coach, because head coach got fired and a new coach came in a couple years later. And one thing that he said, Jeff Hafley's his name. He's the defense coordinator for the Packers now, actually. He said life, I don't know where he got the quote. I don't know if he made it up. I don't know if he got it from somewhere. I'm not sure. I didn't do research into it. But he said life is 90% what happens, or 90% what happens to you, and 10% how you react to it. Or sorry, I might have flipped that.
Yeah. So 90% on how you react, right?
Yeah. 10% what happens. Yeah, 10% what happens to you, and 90% how you react to it.
I was about to say, shit. Did he just go back to what he just said?
Yeah, let's do it up. Yeah. So 90% or 10% what happens to you, 90% how you react to it. And when you take that and you pair it with a control you can control,
yeah.
Oh my God, it makes so much sense. And that's when, things were able to kind of click for me and everything. Now they clicked at different times, right? Because obviously you can control conversation was 2018, and the 90% how you react to it, 10% what happens to you was 2020, post COVID. So there's two different time frames there, but and a lot of stuff that happened in between.
Yeah.
No, I mean, there was a lot of good people. I had a lot of good people around, and
Yeah.
it takes a village to be successful. You
Yeah.
can't ever do
Yeah.
it yourself.
Yeah. Just having those voices in your corner in general is just, especially for their, when you talk about like their experiences too.
Mm-hmm.
And a big part of why I do this podcast as well, and I feel like it always just strikes up in general. You mentioned you never had any regrets, but what would you have done differently? I know you did have those coaches on your side.
Mm-hmm.
I know athletes, they have always that one or maybe two people that they can go to and talk about those kind of things. Like I know sometimes it could be like even like an athletic trainer. It could be just like a support staff member. What would you have done differently if you had maybe more knowledge and education about, say, for example, like a sports counselor, sports
Mm-hmm.
psychologist, anything like that? Like, how would you, and what do you do? Maybe like, is there something you would do now to like help your athletes if you see them going through the same thing?
Yeah, I mean, the big thing is like it's great to always have people that you can talk to. Like, you can lean on your parents, you can lean on your friends, you can lean on your coaches. The problem with all that is you're not always gonna get the best advice in return. And the best advice can be circumstantial, right? It could be advice about playing time, it could be advice about what you need to do better, it could be advice about life. If I had had more knowledge about this kind of stuff, even if it's just once a week, once every 2 weeks, you just find 20 minutes to go talk to somebody who has no stake in the game, right? Somebody who is completely neutral, who isn't going to tell anybody about anything, because you can't go through things on your own. Like you do have to be able to, kind of have someone there that you can just kind of talk to, like when you're struggling with things. And maybe you feel like you can't go to somebody about a certain topic and you're afraid to go to somebody else because you're afraid that person might say something to
Yeah,
somebody who
and
might
they're
say,
involved. Yeah, and they're involved in your.
and now you're in a sticky
Yeah,
situation. So, by having the kind of the knowledge about, like, sports psychologists or sports therapy or anything like that, you do have that space to be able to go in and express what's going on. And you know what, maybe it's about playing time, and your parents aren't there. They don't know what the hell's going on in practice. They're going to tell you like, oh, you should be
I was
playing
about
more.
to say 95%
No,
of parents are probably gonna be like, "Oh
no, I
yeah,
shouldn't.
yes,
Yeah. It's like,
coach, why is he not playing? He knew that." Yeah,
so, and you go to the sports therapist and you tell them like, look, I am not playing well right now. I am in my head. Like this is going on, that's going on. And then they're going to be able to give you advice to be able to kind of get back on your feet, to be able to kind of reset, to go out there and attack it and stuff. I think it's definitely something that, it's something that we have at Navy, and Navy does a great job. Our sports therapist, psychologist, she's out there with us all the time at practices and stuff, just observing things that are
yeah.
going
Well,
on.
she
And
knows too. At least she sees
Mhm.
things that, huh?
Yep.
Yeah,
And she's super easy for our guys to access, and I'm sure we could as coaches as well if we needed to. But they do a great job here for our student athletes.
yeah. You made an awesome point, and I never even thought about it like this because I always mention my my pitch to having people buy in
Hmm.
to something like this of trust like a sports counselor or psychologist or wellness coach is, and if you even told me, people will get offensive or defensive if you tell them, hey, I just want to let you know, your mom, your dad, your best friend, your coach, they're not always going to be the best person to give you this advice.
100%.
And I think that is a huge part of even just general counseling of I need to come to the realization that the people I even trust the most, the people I look to the most, they still might not be able to give me that complete like non-biased opinion or advice and tip.
Hmm.
And having the person that can just give their side of things of, oh, well, it sounds like this happened with you right now. Even if like say if you're just complaining about playing time, oh, like did you do this? Did you do that? Oh, you didn't control all the controllables yet. There's your answer right there. Because the world we live in now, especially like the participation trophy type of world we live in,
I hate it.
yeah, yeah, like the growing up, and that can be a whole nother conversation of just like the foundation now of what these future players are going through, and they
Hmm.
are all told because it sounds like when, especially when you're talking about your dad about how even like Coach Gallagher, how they stayed on you and they didn't
Hmm.
they didn't just sugarcoat anything to you. They called it what it was to you. But now
Hmm.
I feel like majority is just, oh yeah, you're the best at this. I don't understand why. We're gonna put that blame on someone else now because
Right.
we don't have to deal with it. And
Right.
if we
Self
all just,
accountability.
yeah, if we all just go to someone who will give you that pure honesty and the stuff you need to hear, it's so much. Even like say if you have a player on your team that goes to your school sports psychologist and they'll get that without, especially without a coaching realm knowing. Like some of your players might not want you to know that they're going through this because it's tough to bring that up to people,
Yeah.
and you can keep it confidential with that third party person. Oh, yeah,
Yeah, and I think our head coach, he does, Coach Newberry, he does a phenomenal job of prioritizing the player's mental health. Like, there's been some times when I've been around situations where it's not like that, but it's never not been like that here. Like, it's the first, like one of the first days I got here, and like the main thing they're talking about is making sure that the player's mental health is in a good state of mind. At like how when they come over to football, it's supposed to be like the fun part of their day. They're supposed to enjoy it, like
absolutely.
this, that, and third. So we do a good job, and that's because our head coach does a great job of putting a point of emphasis on it, which is really cool.
Yeah, no, it is because no matter how talented that player is, there's still going to be a part of their game that will be affected if they are not in the right. Yeah, you can be even shit. Like we're talking about Mike Williams, for example. If he's going through something, maybe he's still performing that day, and he had 7 catches for a buck 50 and 2 touchdowns, but he might not have been the best teammate that day,
Hmm.
or he might not have been the best player to be coached, and he wasn't coachable because he was in the right mental headspace. Like there's
Yeah.
ranges from the highest level of players to the guys coming up through high school. So yeah,
And that's a great point you just said about, like, maybe he's not the most coachable that day. As coaches, like, you have to understand that, if a player like is like high strung on it, or high strung one day, and maybe his mood's not that way the other, and he's kind of up and down and up and down, like, you have to understand that that's probably not his personality. Like, there's probably something else that's going
yeah,
on.
that's not a bad person.
Right. And
Yeah,
you can't categorize somebody because they have a bad day. We all have bad days.
yeah.
100, like all of us do. So you just kind of have to, like, all right, like, hey, like, grab him, on the side, be like, hey, look, you can't do that. But like, what's going on? Like, talk to me. Like, something with school, something with a girlfriend, something back home. Like, what's going on? But you have to build the relationship with that player before you can do that. Because if you don't build a relationship with him, like, you can't just walk up to a random kid on the team that you haven't built a relationship with and be like, all right, something's going on. Like,
All right,
spill your
yeah.
heart.
Spill. Go ahead. No, I don't want to. I don't want to tell you. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, yeah, no, that's great. And that all carries over to even like foundationally to your work life as well. I mean, it's the same
Mhm.
same thing. Even like I teach second and third graders phys ed, and I even see a kid come into class one day and looking at her, I'm like, she's usually that has a great time type. I mean, it's second and third grade phys ed, so it has to be a good time. There's no way it's not. She's coming in just not doing anything that day, and it's like, hey, what's going on? And I got a side thing that was going on outside of school, and it's
Right.
like, oh, and even the kids that come from a tough upbringing,
Hmm.
and you don't know what's going on at home at all. And even athletes, you have no clue what's going on at home. And you got to be somewhat like sensitive to all of that because they're not just going to choose, all right, I'm going to be selfish and arrogant today because I want to be. No, I think they just are because there's things that they couldn't control that we talked about that got to them that day.
Hmm.
And it's all, there's all a reason to some things, and people just don't choose that. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
and everybody's human. Like, you could be the strongest freaking person in the world, but I guarantee you, there's gonna be a day where something breaks you down. Like, that's how it works, and it's like, you know what, it happened. Like, all right,
Yeah. Let's just make sure that down is not like
right. You
basement.
can't let it snowball.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't drag with anyone else, man. So no, there's the reason to it right here, man. Like it's the stuff that's all just unnoticed. How important it is. But now a couple things too. I just want to kind of wrap up with now your current situation right now. Okay,
Hmm.
so the Boston college journey. There are some things I know I got to know you a little bit, but I didn't know about a lot of those things, so it was cool to hear about. you as a coach now, just what was your, it is tough, especially, and I went through as well, like being a younger coach, developing relationships with the guys. Like you're not immediately going to be respected. You weren't, you're not, or say like, you played at, like your coach you're talking about that played in the NFL for 7 years. Like,
Mhm.
was there some certain things, what do you have to do? And I remember I asked this question to another young coach, but I want to ask you the same thing. What did you do that helped you gain some respect from the guys and just gave you better coach to player relationships?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing is like recognizing that, hey, I'm 2 years. Like when I first started, right, I was 24 when I first started here.
Yeah.
24, 25, 24, I don't know, 24, 25.
Yeah.
So understanding like there might be 2 years difference between me and the oldest guy on the
Especially
team.
now, yeah, even older. There's guys that are
Yeah,
probably playing like 23 now.
right. And it's so like understanding that, right? And then the approach that I had to it was, obviously, what's the first thing people do when a new coach comes in? They're going to Google, try to figure out who the hell he is. So I think I was fortunate enough from my playing career to be able to earn respect of guys kind of before we even had that first conversation, just because there was some stuff that, if you look my name up, there's gonna be some stuff that's with it that you can read and everything and kind of get to know a little bit more about me, who I am, who I was as a player, this, that, and the third. So I think that definitely played a role in allowing me to build initial like first impressions. And
Okay.
then from that, like it's how you go out there and coach them. So it's like kids want to be coached. They want to be coached hard, especially here. Like I think this is a different place at Navy where like the kids that are here that are playing football, like they want to get better at football. They want to grow. They're not afraid of like being yelled at. They're not afraid of
Yeah, yeah.
this and the third. Like you don't have to feel like you're walking on eggshells. And understanding that there's a coach dynamic on the field, and then there's a coach dynamic off the field, and they have to match. So like if you're one person off the field and you're that same person on the field, to me that's not a match, right? Like you can't go out there and you can't be cussing kids out. Now we don't, but like you can't go out there and cuss kids out on the field and then come out post practice and cuss them out post practice. Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
there's give and take there, right? So if you're gonna coach the shit out of dudes on the field, they have to understand that it's coming from a place of love and respect, and you have to earn the love and respect off the field by the conversations that you have with them, getting to know them, being there for them in times of needs when they need you there, and that kind of stuff. And I think that I've had a really good mentor just from the coaching staff and how they go about that to be able to kind of fit into a situation where that stuff was already going on and going on at a high level, and being able to kind of learn from it and watch and see as how these relationships get developed. And then as I get more into this coaching thing and kind of have more credibility from a coaching standpoint, as I get to do it more, now I'm developing more credibility with the kids, and they're respecting what I say to them more and things like that. But you have to understand that they're going to try to test you.
Oh yeah.
Test you, and they're trying to test you because they're trying to see, are you going to fold
What can I get away
and
with?
let me walk all over you, or is this a thing where it's like, all right, we're good here? Like, so I think that when I got that first test, you don't realize it's a first test, and you just have to react to it. And if there's any hesitation, then they're gonna freaking, and that's how it is anyway. They're gonna jump on you like a freaking pool of piranhas. So you just have to demand it. Like you have to demand respect in how you go about what you do every day. And as long as the kids know that you're working your ass off, they're gonna work their ass off.
Yeah. No, that's great because it is tough, man, especially being younger. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's not, you don't have a whole lot to speak about coaching wise, and you gotta learn from it too. And
Yeah.
they'll see, they kind of feel it out with you.
And the other thing too is, you can use it to your advantage that you're younger, right? Because you were in their shoes. Like when I first started, I was in their shoes 9 months ago,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like I was playing football. I was sitting in the Saints locker room 9 months before I started coaching. So I'm able to relate with them on a different level than say somebody who's 45, who's been out of playing for 20 years. Because it's a totally different
Oh yeah, it's a lot easier to go to you about things.
game now than it was 20 years ago. And you can bring different things in that aspect that maybe some older coaches can't. And you can earn respect in that way. And then
Yeah.
you kind of build off that.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. I remember this too. The video that you posted, I saw it elsewhere. When I believe it was a special teams touchdown, or maybe it was just like a turnover. But your reaction in the booth,
Yeah.
that looked like, I'm trying to make a comparison to it, but there's like, you're excited for the team, but like the look on your face when that play happened, I saw about 1,000 plays go through your head, and I'm like, wow, this is really coming together now. And like all that practice, and we did that, and like you looked so excited. So I wanted to ask you, like, when you're a player at Boston College, and even go back to thinking about your first turnover that you forced, and then also as a coach, like when you saw that play, was it a turnover or was it a touchdown?
The one you're talking about when I reacted to?
Yes, yes.
So it should have been a turnover, but we just didn't get on the ball, right? So it was a punt.
Okay, that was driving. Okay, gotcha.
So
So
our gunner ran down, made a super heads up play. When the ball hits the ground, it's fair game, right?
yeah,
So there's no more protection for the returner. Our gunner knew that, which is like just phenomenal, and he's just was at the combine. He's at the Reese Senior Bowl.
nice.
He's gonna get drafted here probably in the next month or so, whenever the draft is. His name's Rayon Lane. He's a fucking dude. He's such a great football player, but he's a smart football player. So he runs down, hits the returner into the ball. And then our next, like the guy who was trampling,
Okay.
he like overran the football, and like the team we're playing ended up recovering it. And that's like the reaction. It's like, oh,
So I was almost like, oh my god, like, okay,
it was close.
yeah,
Because anytime you get a turnover on special teams is a game changer.
yeah,
I mean, anytime, especially on special teams.
yeah. It's almost like a game of chess with special teams. I feel like, but like with all those plays that I feel like a lot of people, even like last week, I had two of my players on, and they talked about how result driven they were. When those results actually start to happen, what are the first couple things that go through your mind?
So that's an interesting perspective, right? To be like results driven.
Yeah.
Because if you're results driven, then there's always going to be a happy or a negative, because you either got the result or you didn't get the
Or
result.
you're like, oh shit, okay.
So one thing that we do is we focus on the process, because if you focus on the process, the result can never be wrong. It may not be what you wanted, but it's what you earned based on what you did through the process.
Okay.
Something that we've kind of like moving away
Coaching
from
philosophy wise, you would rather, if you were to choose something, you would rather be process driven than result driven.
Yeah, 100%. Because the process is what you do every day, right? You don't get a result every day, but you get your process should be every day.
If it's you get some part of the process, whatever it is.
Right. So that's something that that I've definitely looked at a lot differently. Because when I was a player, 100%, right? Everything's freaking results driven. Like it's either good or bad. And now that I know what I know from being on the other side of it, I wish that I had thought of it as a process driven result, not a result driven result.
The result's probably dragging with you if it was negative. Okay. Yeah, because especially for what you went through, and that happening, and when you made a play, that's like, okay, that's if you think about that, that's a process. I should expect the process, man. So no, this is all great stuff, dude. So last part I usually do. This is I told my guys last week too. I gotta make a graphic for it. This is the bonus. So I call it the 1-and-1. So kind of like basketball, near last play. So I kind of want to give my take on it. You got your take on it, and we touched on it a little bit. But I want the audience to start becoming athletes that could really truly use these talks. And one thing that's huge, not only just in recruiting process and the players, just overall with their development, a huge question in my mind, just being an athlete in general, is how, when we talk about the highs getting too high, the lows getting too lows. Yeah, I think, and that's also a coach job too, to help with that.
No doubt.
What's another, in that category, what's another perspective of being a student athlete that you truly need to overcome as a high school athlete, a college athlete, that might not be talked about as much, that's underrated?
Yeah.
And
that's a good question.
Yeah. It's a general, like, I want to know this too. Like, there's like, I kind of want to pick your brain as well, or even combine brains on a couple other things that get overlooked that you need to be ready for and expect.
I think there's two things, and they kind of go off each other that come off to me. The first thing is you got to check your ego at the door, because it ain't about you anymore. 84 other dudes, essentially 105 in football at least.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So 105 or 104 now with the new rules, if they end up going through with that, are trying to achieve the same thing as you. If all those 105 egos act individually, you're gonna freaking suck. And you have to understand that you have to be a teammate first. You need to check on the dudes. Like, you got to make sure your house is in order. And as soon as your house is in order, the first thing you should do is check the dudes next to you. Make sure that they're doing good. Make sure that they're okay. Because in a locker room like that, testosterone is always going to be high. Egos are always going to be high. Competition levels are always going to be high. And one thing that I like to say is when you're with your teammates, and I don't know, maybe I got the wrong look at it, right? But you're not competing against each other when you guys are doing things internally as a team, right? When you're doing those competition stuffs in the weight room and stuff, you're not competing against each other. You're competing with each other. And you have to lift each other up, because the only way you get better is by competition. And if you're doing competition and you're talking, like, go ahead, talk shit, right? That's gonna happen, right? I mean, that's the friendly nature of what it is. But you have to understand that your job is not to bring the person down or berate the person or make them feel less of themselves,
Even
because
like
that's
cheering on their downfall as well.
100%. Like, that's only gonna make the team worse.
Yeah,
Only
yeah.
to make the team worse. Like, you have to compete with each other to lift each other up, like, that guy might be struggling. He might be terrible at what he's doing, right? Well, then if you're a freaking leader, or you want to be a leader, or you want to be a guy that wants to win, go help his ass out.
Yeah.
You might not know how to, but just going over there and just getting, being next to him and kind of grabbing him and bringing him up, that'll do more for culture and team dynamic, which will then bring the competition level higher and make your team more successful. So I think that's the big thing, is check your ego at the door. In terms of competition within the team, it's not competing against each other, it's competing with each other.
Okay. No, that's a good one, because same thing from last week talking with my guys. They even, not only the result driven part, but they also mentioned, and you obviously went through it a lot, where the leash was very short. You got guys breathing down your neck that want to play as well. And when I asked them, I really didn't expect this answer, but our team captain said, well, if they're playing, then they deserved it. And I trust that process of it. And you obviously can't be content with your teammate playing over you, but that level of competition is, I like how you word that, is that you're not competing against each other, especially like preseason or like spring ball, like we were talking about. You gotta, like, let's compete not against but with. It's competing against but with. That's a really good one, because I was actually going to mention something along the competitive lines of, like, right now our guys are they're now in the postseason lifts and pickup, and I'm kind of thinking in the back of my mind, like, I really hope we, players that want to grow and develop that time, and because obviously we can't watch, we can't have our hands on them. Really hoping that their competition level, and something that's as simple as like a postseason pickup, they have it figured out to where they can still be at a good competitive level, but being like making sure they're making each other better. Because if I have a drill that I'm coaching and it's on my side of the gym, I sometimes had to tell my guys, listen, this drill that we just had for 7 minutes on the clock, how many of you think got better? And now, like, they all knew it wasn't a good one. I'm like, why? And they never mentioned I didn't compete hard enough. And it wasn't for myself, but you're almost being selfish, not competing hard enough, because you're not making the guy next to you better as well.
100%.
So, yeah, I think that's a really good one. It's like the competitive balances and how to think about competition's huge.
Yeah, and with that, right? If the dude ahead of you, like, say you're 2 on the depth chart, right? Well, if the one makes a play, well, and you turn on that film, the dude who's the 2 better either be jumping higher than anybody else cheering for that guy, or he better be the first freaking person out there to meet him. Because and when that happens, you have good team culture, and your team's going to get better, because these dudes love each other. They love competing with each other, and they love being there, right? As soon as you start to see sour faces, you gotta, like, as a coach, you gotta look in the mirror and be like, all right,
whoa,
what
and it shouldn't be hard for them to do that either.
It shouldn't
Some
be.
people, they'll act fake just so they can look good celebrating it, like, oh yeah,
Right.
good job.
And that person's a bad apple who isn't, who doesn't have winning at the top of his priority list.
Yeah, because
He'd rather.
it's obvious where it's like, oh yeah, I'm happy for you, awesome, I'm there for you. But like
Mhm.
when you show that excitement, it's like, all right, the team is better, and
Right.
I need to be happy for that guy, even if he's out of me.
And that's what the goal should be. The goal should be for the team to be the best it can be, and that's why you have to check your ego at the door, because you have to understand, like, if the team's better without me, then you know what? That's how it is.
That's how it is right now.
That's how it
like
is.
A matchup,
And
even.
I got to look in the mirror now. How can I get better to help uplift the team?
Yeah. Do you think that was? Do you think Jason Tatum was a prime example in the Olympics? I know you're a Celtics guy.
I think, personally, to me,
I was about to say, I want to hear from the Celtic fan.
yes, me. I mean, the dude's a top 10 player in the NBA. You're telling me he
100%.
couldn't. I mean, he might be top 5 right now after what he did Saturday night. Just what was 38 something and something and something.
There's nothing wild you can say about Jason Tatum right now. That'd be like, oh, you're going too far.
Right. Yeah. He's a great player. He's going to continue to be great. I think he's a dude that's quiet. Some people think he's corny because of some stuff that he's done in the past and whatever. But like what happened to him in the Olympics, like cool, they won and everything. And I think it shows more about his character because
how do you think he handled it?
He handled it. I mean, didn't never heard anything bad about it. Right. There was never one bad report or one bad quote. And you know how it is, right? Like if you're at that elite of a status and you're playing in the Olympics and you're a guy that was just in the finals, could have been arguably the finals MVP. And now all of a sudden you're on the Olympic team and you're not even playing. And then the dude who was the finals MVP doesn't even get like an invitation to the Olympic team. Like there's a lot of things that could have been said that nobody would have even batted an eye at, and he took the high road every single time, and I think that speaks a lot about him. I think it speaks a lot about the culture that the Celtics have, and I think it speaks a lot about the culture that they had at Duke when he was at Duke, because
exactly,
obviously that was learned somewhere.
Yeah, because I think that situation is super. Like obviously it got the publicity, like you know,
it's going to
the media, they put their nose right into it, but. I was so amazed by that because Steve Kerr is one of my favorites of all time as a coach and as a player. I didn't see him play it in person, but
highlights.
Yeah, highlights, and just described how he was as a player, and it shows how he is as a coach now.
Right.
I have because I watched a little bit of that documentary about the Olympic team on Netflix.
I haven't watched it yet, but I've heard it's good.
Yeah, it's great. And he mentioned in the beginning, I want to let you guys know right now, there's half of you are Hall of Famers and half of you are not, but are going to be.
Yeah.
And I want to let you guys know right now, there's going to be certain games where there's only so many minutes. And he told me in advance, like, this could happen. And obviously Jason Tatum ended up being one of them. Or I think even like Joel Embiid didn't play a game or stuff like that. And God, that is so, at that level, to have the courage to just not play a guy that just won the finals, and the accolades and where he's at his career, and he ended up sticking to his guns there and how to react to it, because it shows like him being coached up by Missoula and having Coach K and whoever he had before him. That I think it was almost underlooked still, even the publicity he got. And it's like, holy shit, he really does. Winning a gold medal and being a part of that's a whole separate dream that he still got to accomplish in 1 year, but at the same time, he didn't get that playing time. But
and call it whatever you want to call it. I can't think of the word right now. But when this slew of guys retires, like the Steph Currys, the Kevin Durant's, LeBron James, it's Jason Tatum's league. He's the face of the league. I'm gonna throw that out there right now.
Like I said, there's no take you can say right now that's like, whoa, too far, man. That's crazy. That's not crazy. That's not crazy. I mean, he's right there. So,
yeah,
checking the ego out the door. I mean, there's a list of things that we just want to do that were great to review. But
I got a question for you now, though.
Wow.
Since you're back.
Okay. Yeah.
Now, I mean, the time of the year.
Yes.
Right? It's
God.
The fun part. Getting to the fun part. Now, obviously, I know, we haven't had conference tournaments yet. We haven't had the bracket released yet.
Okay.
I gotta know who right now is your front runner.
Yeah.
To win it, and who's your dark horse, like mid-major, that's gonna make a run.
Nice. Okay. So front runner as of right now, because it is tough that you haven't seen the conference play yet, right, because
and the matchups and everything. Like there's a lot. There's uncertainties.
Yes. So this could be subject to change, but I really do think Houston If I'm not,
Okay.
like, I don't want to say Auburn or Duke. I don't want to. It's so tough not to, but I think Houston is so poised, especially like coaching wise and how the
I feel like
development of the
so.
program. Yeah, and I think if I'm going to think of one team, Houston, I think they're due to make it like an actual full run, not like
Right.
3/4 way.
Right.
And it's so easy to say St. John under the radar, underrated team. That's another thing that's easy, but I'll go with another one. It depends how far they will get, but I like kind of taking this aspect. Don't count out Kansas.
Okay.
Don't count them out.
Okay.
Even though they historically stink this year.
Okay.
A coach Bill Self team, I'm never going to count out. And
100%.
those guys are on the team for a reason, and teams that can find their way. And like we talked about in the beginning, the mistakes, they've made all the mistakes. And if they learn from them and they're not going to make the same mistakes, they still got a really good big man, Connor Dickinson, who's been around it and seen it.
Old Michigan guy.
Yeah, yeah. So what about you, though? I'm going
to say Michigan State.
Okay. They got some dudes that are.
You got Tom Izzo, right? Who traditionally has always been a really good tournament coach.
January, February,
He's done a lot more with less than what he has right now.
Mm.
I think they have a complete roster. They have good guard play, good play in the front court, good coaching. And then my sleeper, like crazy, like 13 seed that's gonna just like cause havoc.
Yeah.
Is McNeese.
Okay.
McNeese.
Where are they at right now? Did they get through conference play?
They either just won their conference or they won the semifinals, and they got to win their conference championship tonight.
So they do make it.
If they make it, that was my guy.
Team that's like, damn, I don't like this. The 13 versus 4. They're always that team.
There's always that.
You did say low major, mid major, didn't you? I'll say you said low major, mid major.
Oh yeah.
Not Kansas, then I'll go Omaha.
Okay.
Omaha.
First time in the tournament, right?
I like what's going on there.
Okay.
I finally had some time to like do this a little bit more in the off season. Also, just lay on the recliner and just watch a crap ton of games.
Yeah.
Got to watch Omaha play St. Thomas, who the first year in the conference. So they're going to make it anyways.
Right.
Which was really cool to watch and see how they got up for that game.
Yeah.
Like, no matter what, they were going to the tournament.
Right, because they're transitioning to St. Thomas transitioning, yeah.
Obviously, you still want to win a conference championship, but I don't know, you might be a little bit less energy. They were just on all cylinders. And St. Thomas team was super impressive. They kept knocking on the door.
Yeah.
They answered every time. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah, I'll go Omaha then. So,
okay. I like it.
So we got Michigan State and McNeese, and then I got, because we can look back on this. Not like we're just, we got to check our receipts. Then I got Houston and Omaha.
Okay.
So, man.
I like it.
Awesome.
I like it.
But no, this is a great one. This is this is the longest one I've done yet.
I was just having a good time.
It's easy. It's easy. Once you're just flowing and talking, it's super easy. Man, episode 18, and it's not a common number, but number 18, Mike Palmer. Mike, thanks for hopping on, man. It was a great time.
I appreciate it, man. I had a lot of fun. This is awesome. Love what you're doing here. Appreciate you.
Thank you to everyone who has taken the time out of their day to give the Pump podcast a listen. Please give us a follow on Instagram or TikTok at pump_pod. You can also tune in on our YouTube or Spotify channels. Last but not least, if you have any questions, comments, concerns on any of the episodes or future episodes coming up, please email harringtonpump@gmail.com. Once again, thank you for listening and hope you can tune in soon.